now we're ready for the third piece of this. You ready to keep going?
Sure.
Okay. Okay. Now, the third one is the most powerful. And what happens in all of us is sometimes we do battle with reality, and that we reject it. No, no, that can't be true. No, I don't accept that. No matter how obvious the evidence is. No, it can't be. It can't. I'm going to fight it. I won't allow a world that acts like this. And there's also the fight that we have, the battle, the war that's going on inside our head, inside our heart. And that is things like, no, I will not allow myself to feel that emotion. Or I'm ashamed of feeling that emotion. Or no, I won't take this anymore. I won't allow that. Things like that. And what we want to do, or what this exercise is about, is accepting that that emotion is a legitimate part of who we are. We don't have to like it, because if we feel a hurt or a shame or an anger or whatever, we don't always like it or feel fear, but it's part of who we are. And it's more important to accept who we are than it is to fight off these emotions that we don't like. Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so here in a minute or so, here's what I'm going to ask you to do. I'm going to ask you to bring up that emotion, the one that started off as the ball in your belly,
Hmm.
same one that triggered the avalanche, uh, and sit with it, be present with it in a spirit of acceptance. Now, that means no judgment, no analysis, no thinking about it, no thinking about, oh, does this dress make me feel fat, make me look fat? No, none of that. Or, oh, is my flower crooked? Nothing. Uh, and whenever you find yourself in your head, I want you to think, oops, I'm in my head. Time to go back and be present with that sensation. Okay?
Okay.
So let's go ahead now, bring up that sensation of the emotion that led you to that avalanche and all that, and be present with it. And now that you know you're in control of it, oh, if it starts to get overwhelming, too much, move it a little ways out so that it's not so overwhelming. Emotions are supposed to, according to what I've read and a lot of what I've experienced, on their own, they last a minute or two. But what our big brains do is we get into loops, and we keep reinforcing those emotions, sometimes by pushing them away, sometimes by fighting them, sometimes by just thinking and obsessing about what created them, that sort of thing.
Hmm.
So, and that happens because we're in our head. So that's why be gentle with yourself. If you find yourself in your head and you notice, say, oops, I'm in my head, time to go back and be present again. And if the emotion really does get too strong, just move it out to the side until it's not too strong. Don't push it all the way away. Don't push it too far, just enough that you can stay there. because
Okay.
gradually you want to allow, if we think of the sensation as an entity, as a little person, say, um, we want that little person to feel accepted. So that's what
Right.
we're after here.
Okay.
So just go ahead, bring up the feeling and be present. Sit with it. Sit with it like you were sitting with a friend who's trying to resolve a challenge of their own. They don't want your advice. They don't want your healing. They don't even want a hug at the moment. They might later, but right now they don't. They just want to know that you're there for them, caring enough about them to be with them and accept them as they sort out their own problem. So be with it, be present with the sensations. That's right. In a spirit of acceptance, because they're part of who you are, Keiki. Allow those sensations to be. Accept them. They're part of you. That's right. And anytime you notice you're in your head analyzing or judging or trying to change this and or trying to make it go away, just say, oops, I'm in my head. Time to be present again. That's right. That's right. And tell me what's been happening with that sensation. It may increase, it may diminish, it may transform, it may move around. What's been happening with it?
Uh, it's stopped. Stopped swirling so fast,
Okay, so it's slowed down.
and it's a little bit smaller.
Okay, wonderful. And if it was a 10 when you brought it up at first, what is it now?
It just seems very peaceful feeling.
Oh, so that very peaceful feeling, that's not the same emotion that you started with, is it?
No, definitely not.
So this is transformed into something else now by accepting it.
Yeah.
Now, Keiki, does it feel appropriate to send love to this sensation, to this emotion, the way it is now?
Yeah.
Okay, do that now. Send it love. It's almost as though this emotion has been with you for a very long time and is trying to protect you. And because it was called upon so often to do that, and you kind of pushed it away, it hasn't had a chance to resolve itself. And now it's doing that, isn't it?
Yeah.
You just let it resolve itself.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's gone.
Wow. That's powerful, isn't it?
Yeah.
So something I'd like you to do now, once you finished wiping your eyes, what I'd like you to do now is to imagine a situation that could easily occur in the near future where you would typically have been triggered by this emotion to get argumentative. So imagine that happening and notice how you respond.
It's just better. It's just a better clarity.
Uh-huh.
Uh, like, I have a problem with trying to say what my issues are. And to someone I have an issue with, and I'm always trying to protect them and myself by not saying something that they need to hear.
Uh-huh. Okay. Okay.
But
Well,
then I dance around it and I get argumentative, and then it just fires up. And
that,
the main reason why it started just doesn't
right.
comprehend.
Yeah. So you start out on this process trying to keep the peace and end up doing something that makes it worse.
Yes.
So now when you think of it with more clarity, what's more likely to happen?
I most definitely, it feels a weird out of body experience to think even this, but I feel like I can be like that. I won't fall in that crevice again. That's what it feels like.
Ah, okay. Like you fell into a place and that was the only option that you had.
Yeah. It's like a long memory that keeps doing that. Definitely, like you said, like a loop thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So imagine another kind of a different situation where you would have the same kind of response. Imagine that happening in the near future.
Okay. Mm. It's much quieter.
Much quieter. Ah. And do you like that?
Of course.
Okay. Okay, wonderful. Wonderful. That's great. Okay, so that's the acceptance process.
Yay.
And in this case, you needed the emotional control process to happen before you could do the acceptance process because the emotion was too powerful to deal with if you hadn't, right?
I very much agree.
Okay, okay. So um, what I invite you to do is every now and then just try out this situation mentally and say, oh yeah, when this would happen, I used to get really argumentative all the time. And imagine it happening in the future and notice what happens now. because this is a way of practicing. Because once you've accepted that emotion as a legitimate part of who you are, things change. You don't have to be at war with yourself. And when you don't have to be at war with yourself, because being at war with yourself, wars have a ugly way of sort of spreading to others. So if you're at war with yourself, it's not surprising that it spread out to others in some way. When you're not at war with yourself, you don't need to be at war with others either.
Very agreed.